friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, I'm standing out here on my deck and it's a beautiful day, and I thought it was time to get out here and start doing a little bit on my main garden. Now, the only reason this is called my main garden is because it's my biggest garden. All my gardens are main gardens, but this is just the biggest section I have. So there's just way too much going on out here for me to cover in one video. I keep trying, but I can't get it at a tolerable watch time. So I'm just going to be showing you roughly what it looks like, as you can see. See how pretty it is? And just talk about a few things. I'll be breaking this up into several parts. So what I want to start with is by just showing you a few angles here on how the whole thing looks right now as of, I believe today is July 14th. So it's going to be at least the 15th or so before you see this video. And you see just everything interspersed and growing. And I need to clarify to everyone, I am not a master gardener. I have no degree in any type of gardening, horticulture, botany, anything like that. I am just a simple girl who tries to make the most out of a small space through experimentation. I do watch a lot of educational videos on gardening and read a lot. However, I still have to experiment and try things that other people may have never thought to try. Because I have to find out what's going to work best in our small area and in our very short and wet growing climate. So anyway, one of the things I want to talk about is what we got going on here. So I know these pansies up here don't look super healthy. Well, that is because these were the ones, some of the ones I had growing around here, like in that space there and that space there and a couple other places. I did move all of them. This is just two of them, and they weren't getting, because the grapevines just blew up. They were not getting enough light, so they're just trying to snap back. So Patrick built this put these boards around here for me for two purposes, and one was to have something to hang the pansies on out here so they could get more sun, and also to give like my marshmallow something over here, something to kind of lean up against, and my beans, you see them kind of coming up over there, something to start climbing along this way and that way. Now there's more beans growing here. They're only to right there. So because this goji berry plant has kept them too overshadowed, so I'm going to have to probably take the goji berry out of there eventually, and because I really like the beans growing in the pots, the runner beans, the scarlet and sunset. That's why you see the two different colored flowers, because it just looks beautiful when you got the flowers going all the way up and over. Last year I just threw a simple stick up there and it worked and it was pretty, but it was just tossed up there. It was nothing permanent, so he put up something more permanent for me. So hopefully we'll get these beans to start kind of going that way. So I have this beautiful little archway. So a couple things I want to talk about. I will be going over more on like the echinacea and the borage, plantain, and some other things in other videos. I already did the woolly lamb's ear, and I want to talk just briefly about this again because I wanted to let you know, since I made that last video, I have tried the tea. It is excellent. I tried it both with the fresh leaves and with the dried, and so now I'm drying up because I like it so much and it's got so many health benefits. I'm drying up a bunch of the leaves and jarring them up to use for tea throughout the year, and I'm going to show you a picture of what one of those jars looks like right here. Okay, so and then there's a smaller echinacea. I did do a video on the yarrow. Now, let's talk a little bit about tomatoes. Tomatoes in our area are kind of tricky. Now, I know a lady that lives here that she gets an excellent tomato harvest, and just beautiful plants. I've bought starts from her in years past. This year I decided to just go with my own tomato starts and see what I could do with them. Now, I've always grown our tomatoes in the greenhouse and done pretty well with them. However, because I have such limited greenhouse space and I have other things I need to grow in there too, like the peppers and the cucumbers, because they don't do too great out here, at least the ones I've tried, I'm trying to see what I can do with tomatoes outside, because I know this other lady I'm speaking of, she grows her tomatoes outside, but she does start them in her greenhouse with added heat and added light. And so hers get a really huge head start. Now, anybody who knows me well enough knows I'm trying to do things without, starting things without having to use any electricity to do it. So I did come up with a method that I spoke of in other videos, and then come to find out that Stacy from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy does that very same thing. So it was really cool to see her video on that, and it worked really great for getting them started. Now it's getting them to grow in the main garden. So what you're seeing here are my Romas, some of my Romas. Right now most of my tomato plants are still in the greenhouse, and that's where they're going to grow. Those ones, they'll stay there, but I did have so many starts, I thought now is a great time with all the starts I got to experiment. So Roma's here, I've got some cherries here, and they've only just recently started looking healthy because it only just recently got warm enough for them to do so. And I've got a couple more, some cherries. These ones here for some reason are really liking it here. The plants look very healthy. They're only just started getting flowers though. So you'll just, like the tomatoes in the greenhouse are actually have tomatoes on them. They're green. These ones out here, because of the, it's warmer in the greenhouse, it's colder out here, are just starting to get flowers. So I'm experimenting. And like I said, I've got a bunch there, I've got some here, but I've also am experimenting by trying to plant the tomatoes in several different places. Clearly, this one here, this isn't a good place for that. It's not doing so well. This one looks decent. This is how I do things. I try things. That's why this may just look like a big jumbled mess, but there is actually a plan here. Just like there's a lot of randomness, and yet there's a plan. And so things like the zucchini here and there, I'm also trying those in different areas of the garden to find out where it'll grow best. I always grow it over there, but I decided it's time to experiment, because typically I grow mostly just my root veggies here, like my rutabagas and my beets, as you'll see. But the tomatoes, this is totally a new experiment for me this year. This one's doing so-so. I noticed the ones right in front of the greenhouse so far are the ones that look the healthiest. And cherry tomatoes also do best outside. So I only have 3 kinds of tomatoes. I have the cherry, and this is a Roma. And I can tell the difference by the leaves. I have 2 different types of cherries, the Isis candy and the blueberry cherry, and then the Amish paste Roma tomatoes. And by the way, yes, that pineapple weed, I'm leaving there on purpose. Anything that you see that you think is a weed, like the plantain or the dandelions or the pineapple weed, I'm leaving on purpose. They have their reasons. Well, there might be a few things in here I still need to pull up, but they all have their reasons. I'll go over that in another video. Anyway, so I'll show you a couple other places I'm growing tomatoes so you can see how they're looking. The other thing I wanted to talk about was onions. I'm growing Walla Wallas this year. I've grown red onions before too. I prefer, the red onions do beautifully here, but I prefer the Walla Wallas for flavor. And I'll show you a picture right here of some Walla Wallas from last year. And then I'll show you a picture right here of some of my red onions that I grew a couple of years ago, which I think I'll get back into just because they do grow very well here. They grow better than the Walla Wallas, and they get bigger. Now, you can see here what I've been doing with these onions. I learned this little trick from my neighbor. He's very savvy in anything garden related. He does have degrees, by the way, and is a master gardener. And that is, as far as the onions go, digging, when they start getting a little bit of, size to them, start digging around them like this. And what that will do when you live in a short growing climate like we do, that will help them to really get bigger, get some size to them, and grow a little bit quicker. So I notice every time I do this, the onion really starts to take off. So they just recently got big enough for me to do this. So I just started this a few days ago. I still have some more like over there I need to get to and start digging the dirt out around. So now I'm going to show you a few more places I have onions growing, and I'll talk more about the other stuff I have growing out here in other videos. Let's see here. I want to show you another tomato. This one's looking pretty decent. It's got flowers on it. This is, I'm pretty sure, an Isis candy cherry. So I'm going to flick these flowers because it was a little trick I learned from another video to help the flowers pollinate themselves. Okay, so some of the tomatoes are looking great. These ones over here, like this one over here only just recently started looking good. That is, I think, an Isis candy. This is Aroma. And I think that is also an Isis candy. The ones growing right next to the greenhouse are the blueberry cherries. So maybe the difference also might be in the growth, might be by the type of cherry tomatoes they are. Maybe not so much just location. So here's what this side looks like real quick. Again, I will talk more on this later. I'll explain my corn and everything else. Just giving you a little rundown of what's going on. And yes, and that's another reason why I have boards around here, so I have more places to hang laundry. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to cover today to keep this video somewhat blessedly short. I'm going to go ahead and do another tour around this way so you can see some of the other things growing, like my calendula that I've already been harvesting and dehydrating. My peas, which finally got to the size they should have been about 2 months ago, and are the size the beans should look right now because everything is so far behind. Yet a lot of things are just catching up quickly, and I'm so thrilled. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this brief little update, and be watching for more of these coming out. I'll probably do another one later in this next week. So thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.